Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Bradley, and I will be your moderator. Thank you for joining us today for this episode in the Sydney Enterprise in Real Life webinar series, Integration 360 Degrees of Critical Knowledge. Before we start, I would like to provide some information about our company and introduce today's presenter. Lucidea is a software developing company specialized in museum and archival collections management solutions, as well as knowledge management and library automation systems. Our brands include Sydney, Presto, Argus, Archivera, Eloquent, and Quadrastar. Now I would like to introduce today's presenter, Jeremiah Saunders. Jeremiah is the Special Projects Librarian here at Lucidea, and he will be giving us an in-depth look at Sydney Enterprise. Take it away, Jeremiah.
Imagine you have been tasked with building a knowledge repository on autonomous vehicles. After surveying the information landscape, you find a mix of content that would be useful in your repository. On the left, you find internal content in the form of folders with files such as documents, PDFs, and images. You find spreadsheets or CSV files containing data on patents for self-driving cars. On the right, you find external content in the form of some paid subscription databases with relevant articles and eBooks, some public-facing websites with news feeds, regulatory and trade publications on autonomous vehicles. If you have already watched our other webinars, then you know how easy it is for library staff to build a database and portal within Sydney Enterprise. In this webinar, we will focus on bringing together internal and external content as quickly as possible to drive traffic to our repository for a 360-degree view of critical knowledge on autonomous vehicles. A database without content in it is like an empty vault, worthless. So how are we going to bring in our valuable data? Of course, we can manually add records one at a time, but we can also use the built-in import-export tool without needing to involve IT. First, we need to create a map that allows us to import data and files, such as PDFs and images, directly into our collection. While we can import many different formats, such as CSV, XML, and MARC, let's assume we have some spreadsheets. Here we are selecting the fields we created only a few seconds ago when we designed the database. If our spreadsheet has additional columns of data and we have no existing field, we can easily create more fields. We simply copy the name from the header or the first row in our spreadsheet that identifies the data in that column and map it to a field, often with the same name, but that is not required. A reminder, we can use this spreadsheet to import not only data, but files we want to attach to records, such as PDFs and images, by putting the name of these files in a column and matching them to the attachment field in our database. By selecting one of the fields to be used as a unique identifier, we can match on existing records if we want to perform additional imports to update our collection, while preventing duplicates. All that is left for us to do now is back up the database and perform the import. We navigate to our collection in SydneyEnterprise, click Import, and browse for the file or drag and drop it onto the screen. Once we've imported our spreadsheet, we have cataloged our new collection. Now that we have imported in our spreadsheet, we can navigate to our collection and search on any field. We imported data and files, such as images and PDFs, which are now attached to records for easy access. We can also make some or all of this collection available to patrons on the portal, which we will review near the end of this webinar. What we want to avoid with our knowledge repository is having someone perform two searches on separate websites or subscription databases, which is obvious. Fortunately, Sydney Enterprise has direct integration for our ebook vendors, Overdrive and Thomson ProView. All we have to do is enter our account information into Sydney Enterprise, and the titles available to us from Overdrive and Thomson ProView automatically appear in our collection. There is no ongoing maintenance required and no need to perform an import. Our patrons can now conveniently access eBooks from Sydney Enterprise. Some of our scientists and engineers attend conferences and publish in peer-reviewed journals using the resources we have cataloged in Sydney Enterprise. When they ask for a summary of our records to produce a bibliography or works cited list, it takes time that we could be investing in improving our repository. With Sydney Enterprise, our patrons can now use a citation export feature to bring data to EndNote, RefWorks, and many other citation management systems. Our library can limit the number of records and specific fields or data to be exported, so we maintain control of our collection, but the self-service feature of citation export means our patrons no longer have to bother us for a report. If we cannot import in some of the most valuable content from subscription databases and public websites, then we can at least bring our patron to that content conveniently. The Sydney Enterprise portal can pass the same search onto multiple databases and websites, as long as the third party grants your library permission and supports our integration. A patron simply performs a single search to see your collection in the Sydney Enterprise portal and clicks a link that takes them to the external content from the third-party vendor, seeing results matching their same search. As interest in our collection on intellectual property grows at our organization, we may want to expand its scope and bring together news, press releases, and articles related to our patents. But what if we don't have the time and staff needed to keep up with demand? Fortunately, we can use the RSS import feature of Sydney Enterprise, a built-in tool which allows you to feed content from other websites and databases into your collection without having to manually catalog it and without having to involve IT. We simply copy and paste the feed from various government, industry, and news websites, and Sydney Enterprise takes care of the rest, as it imports and aggregates the content we know our end users seek. By combining our internal and external content and providing content we have carefully cataloged with recent news, breakthrough developments, and industry announcements from sites that we trust, we can provide access to a collection far beyond our staffing levels, available time, and budget of our information center. We can expand our portal too, perhaps building a separate portal focused on a subset of our collection regarding patents, such as autonomous vehicles. We have modified our default portal, adding a banner image for visual appeal, displayed an RSS feed from a news website, redesigned our search to allow a person to search across collections or view only one area, and given them the option to browse a hierarchy of subjects we built. We can make our collections available beyond the Sydney Enterprise portal with the use of some built-in tools. You can save a search and push content out to your intranet or elsewhere via RSS feeds. Alternatively, you can save a search to generate an email alert, allowing end users to self-subscribe, or you can subscribe to the alert on their behalf, so that new resources appear in their inbox. You manage to populate your knowledge repository, but the project owner can't find the most valuable content because they are not searching on your Sydney Enterprise database and portal. No problem. You can use the built-in sitemap generator to create a file that can be indexed by other search engines. For example, here we see a public-facing client using Sydney Enterprise, and we can perform a search on Google to find content with a link back to the specific record in Sydney Enterprise.
Thank you, Jeremiah, for the wonderful presentation. And to our audience, if you have any more questions on any of our software or our company, our contact details are listed on the screen for you. Please feel free to reach out and stay tuned for more webinars and content related to this series on Sydney Enterprise. On behalf of the Lucidea team, I thank you all for attending, and until next time, thanks.